It's working. Working great.
So hello to all. My name is Satu-Marja Mäkelä. I come from VTT, Technical Research Center of Finland. And I work in a team where we look industrial processes and data and how AI can be used there. I have worked with Turku University of Applied Science together in a national project regarding recycling of textiles. And I was actually happy to notice that the next keynote speaker is also familiar to me. We work together at the moment in an EU-level project regarding the recycling of textiles. And Inka asked me to have a presentation of digital product passport. It's a very hot topic currently, and it's a bit difficult in that sense that it's a moving target because there is a lot of activities going on regarding the digital product passport, and the legislation is moving fast. So I listed also my colleague's name, Hannu Tanner, here because we did a bit of a update on the knowledge, try to be in the state of the art with this presentation. But and I think that most of you are very familiar with the digital product passport, but let's go forward. So digital product passport is defined as a structured collection of product-related data that has a predefined scope. And this is driven by European Commission. And this spring, the ESPR regulation were accepted. So this means that with some time space, this digital product passport will be coming into use. What we know about this digital product passport, that the economic operator placing a product, now the product in this context is the textile product on a European market, is responsible of providing the digital product passport and its data content. And currently this digital product passport concerns batteries, textiles, electronics, and there is more to come, but these are the prioritized in the legislation. And no one actually really knows what is the data content, but there are good guesses that will come very close to this. But what is the exact data is not known yet. But it's expected that it will include data as a composition and origin of the materials, what the product is made of. There is some information of the manufacturer and supplier information. There will be some guidance for product use, maintenance, repair and disposal. And there is information about environment and social sustainability in future. Also, the digital product passport is beneficial to many stakeholders. It's aimed for consumers that they could be able to make more informed purchases and receive guidance how to maintain and how to dispose the product. For brands and partners in supply chain, they can have better visibility within the supply chain and they can be reacting to disruptions with the data. Then for the service and repair function, they can receive information about the spare parts and the producers, how to maintain the product. And then, of course, for the recyclers at the end of the life, they can automatically receive information of the materials and maybe hazardous content, and they can sort better and more effective. And then for authorities, that they can estimate the amount of raw materials in circulation and guide the usage. And then, of course, look into compliance to regulation. And the first phase of the digital product passport most likely will target consumers and authorities. So it's clear that it will be implemented in different phases, how to reach all of these stakeholders. So some basic understanding how the DPP itself will be implemented. First, we need machine-readable data carrier that it's integrated in the piece of clothing. And it's not decided what it is, but it can be radio-based. So this is a near-field communication radio. It can be RFID, or it can be a visual code. There are some benefits for each of them. And I can say that, for example, QR codes are familiar to all, and everybody is able to use them and read this information with the mobile phone. But then if we consider the whole life cycle, we know often that labels could be cut off, and maybe they don't stand for the washing cycles, so they fade off. Then the answer would be RFID. But then the problem is the reading infrastructure. Then consumers would have difficulties to read the information. So maybe most likely it could be so that there is 2 different machine-readable data carriers in the future, but then it increases the cost. So we'll see how this will go. Then in the machine-readable data carrier, we need a unique identifier to identify that product that it's attached to. And this product can be identified by model, batch, or item level. And in item level, it means that every single piece of garment would have a specific identifier. It seems that this will be in the first phase, this will be done in a batch level. So all of these similar t-shirts will have a same identifier. And we need a common globally coordinated identification system for this to work. An existing system, for example, this GTN by GS1 is something that can be also extended to item level. And this is the, now I don't know the English word. I say it's Finnish, somebody can help me out, Viivakoodi. It is the...
barcode.
Barcode, thank you, yes. So it's the barcode that is very much used currently in the textiles and retail. Then we need this product information system, and it will be decentralized data system, which means that there won't be a big repository where everybody puts their DPP data. Each company will manage their own data in their system, however they find the best way to do it. We see in VTT that there will be software as a service solutions most likely to be available for this, and European Union is striving in their digitalization actions, common data spaces, and they are planning to establish one to support the DPP system. And there is also plans that ECU will keep data backups in case of operator leaves the market. So this is one of the also unsolved problem, that how long you have to keep the data for product that you have put into market, and what if as here as a scenario, the operator leaves the market, don't want to be in the EU market anymore, or goes to bankruptcy. The questions are a bit open still, how it will be handled then. And then, of course, we have access to the data, and every stakeholder will have a different view. So all data will not be shown to all users, but depending who are you in the values or supply chain, you will see the information that is targeted to you. And we need to secure the confidential data, and we have to notice the possibility to update the product data also along the life cycle. So quite complicated system. We already discussed, or I already discussed a bit about what type of product data will be there, but then there are all different information requirements from the ESPR, and the data or the information in the DPP should target all of this list. So it should target somehow durability and reliability, then reusability, upgradability and repairability, possibility for maintenance and refurbishment, presence of substances of concern, energy efficiency and resource efficiency, recycled content within the product, possibility to remanufacture and recycle the materials, environment impacts and expected generation of waste materials. This list is according to ESPR, it's taken for the SURPASS project, one of their public deliverables. And if when we think all the data that already goes along with the product, describing the manufacture or the supply chains and the material and the product information and the color information, it's quite a lot of information that should be attached to one piece of clothing or batch of clothing. I don't know how many of you are aware of this SURPASS project, but I have to say that they have very good set of deliverables that are actually guiding quite strongly the EU actions. So if you are not aware of them or familiar with them, take a peek on the site with this website. Then one DPP of the textile supply chain, which I think is I think you are all very familiar with. This is a really busy slide. This image is taken from the document called Digital Product Passport in the Textile Sector, which was published in this spring, and it's made by the research organization for legislation for EU. So this is very interesting document, also depicting the future of the DPP. But this is another picture on where the data comes along the textile value chain. So we get the information from the supply chain that if this was an optimum and fully working for transparency and traceability, we would have all from these different tiers the information accumulating to DPP. Then we have the finished product here that describes the product itself. Then we would have some distribution information, how it have ended and where the product is. Then we will have usage information and information to repair, clean and modify, and most likely tracking along the usage phase. It's very difficult for this DPP, but if it comes, for example, if the piece of clothing will come to repair or cleaning of product, then it could be easily added some information there. And then, of course, end of life, collecting and sorting, and then recycling would also add different information. And then one question is also that when the one piece of clothing ends to end of life and is recycled, how we accumulate the next DPP of next clothing and how much information should be inherited from the previous life cycle. Well, then something about the dynamic data for DPP. From this image, we can see that there is a much of information that could be accumulated here. And normally, we think that until the production and distribution, the data is quite static. But after that, it's dynamic because it enters to the use phase and it's really used. So, for example, it requires the product usage history, product repair history, and then the end of a life history. And this information actually relates strongly to different levels of circularity, and these are strategies which I think are familiar also to you. And this requires adding data from the new phases of the garment. This is possible to implement, but it might encounter some challenges. For example, if we need to provide access to many different players to add data specifically to one garment, the system technical implementation and the system will become more complex, and naturally it will cost more. And then we have to somehow secure the data liability, meaning, for example, if the consumer will be able to put some data into the DPPs, let's say data about the condition or whatever, how can we be sure that it's correct data? So this dynamicity is needed strongly to support circularity, but it will cause some problems. But it doesn't mean that we cannot do anything with the dynamic data in the circularity point, but it would benefit definitely. Well, then I saw a bit of a result that we did in one of the national projects. We had a task where we looked into data. We took a data model from TextRoad that was open access and looked into the data and data elements and thought that how would it actually change according to needs of the different use cases. And this data model is basically a data model that currently includes data that currently goes along when the textile is produced. And in purpose, I don't have the top categories named here because this is just to show how much it changes between the different use cases. So these numbers here describe different top level categories. One of them is manufacturing, one of them is the product data, which is the number 3, and it has most of the subcategories. And these categories would even have subcategories, so it would be very complex to show. But the point is that when we think different use cases, they require really, really different data. So with our rehearsal, we will try to minimize the need of data. And for the reuse, we understood that we would need this much of the original data. And for sorting, we would need this much of the original data. And this also kind of emphasizes the idea that actually one piece of garment would need a lot of data. And now, if we have a use case that is reuse, it's most likely needs to be a garment-specific data, not even batch level. And when we imagine how many pieces of garments in the EU we currently have, and if each of them is going to have a data pool, it is quite a lot of data. And then we really should think that what is relevant and what is not relevant, because the data causes also environmental impact, storing the data and having it updated. So then I have this slide also about the cost estimate, which is something that everybody's worried and nobody has really calculated it. We have found this one report from Deloitte that tried to estimate how much one DPP would cost. And they came into estimate that one case would cost 15 euros per 10,000 products within 10 years. But I think that this depends on the product and it depends on the size of a company, because the cost of the systems and keep the data management systems vary depending on how much data you need to store. But this type of cost estimate has been done. And then if you think that if this would be true and it would be 15 euros per 10,000 pieces of products, that is not that much anymore. But still, it is quite much. And if the system will go towards the RFID, and so that each product would have an RFID, I'm not quite sure if this would hold on the textiles. But I think it's good to see at least something that somebody has tried to calculate how much it would cost. Well, the first version of DPP is aimed for sharing information with the minimum data content, and yes, looking into the customer or the consumer and the authorities. In the document that the one image was taken from the store, actually they thought that there will be 3 steps within the textile DPP. And the last step that they estimated that would be on place, it would be 2030, and that would be the one that would actually support the circularity. So step by step, a bit more complex, and the first version is quite simple. And the legislation for the batteries has already come into the force, and the DPP is mandatory for the batteries in 2027. And textiles and consumer electronics, this legislation is also accepted, and now there's different years. I've seen 2 different years when DPP is expected to be mandatory with the textiles. I have seen also this 2027 year, so don't take this as a certainty that it will be only by 2030. And there are some challenges, of course, with this. So there is a lack of interoperability between the systems, and we don't have the standards. If we don't know even what data will be needed or what we have to put there, the development of standards is difficult. So it's thought that we will have the first version of DPP coming into the place, and between the first and the second step, actually the interoperability and the standards will develop, because the need is so strong at that point. And then the challenge is also the availability of information from the supply chains that are global, and some of the players are really small. Also the data confidentiality and privacy concerns and validation of data is very relevant. And this is also relevant in the fact that the AI systems that use the data are coming more and more every day. And there is lots of initiatives how the supply chains could be managed with AI. But if the data is not valid, then the AI outputs are not valid also anymore. And then there is expected extra work and lack of ICT skills with the smaller players on the textile fields. That can be a bit of a problem. EU has promised also some kind of support for the DPP, technical support, but it's really not clear what that actually is. So that was my presentation. Thank you.